I've never been afraid of my own house. It's a small place, a one-bedroom rental on the edge of town, nothing special. The walls are thin, the floors creak, and the windows rattle when the wind picks up, but it's mine. At least, it was supposed to be. That was before the door started locking me out. It began a few weeks ago. I'd wake up every morning to find my bedroom door locked from the inside. The knob wouldn't turn, the deadbolt clicked tight, and I'd be stuck in the hallway staring at it like an idiot. I don't lock it myself, I never have. Why would I? I live alone, and the bedroom's at the end of a narrow hall with nothing but a bathroom and a closet between me and the front door. No one else has a key. No one else should be here. The first time it happened, I chalked it up to sleepwalking. I've never done it before, but people start weird habits under stress, right? Work's been rough lately, late nights at the warehouse, hauling boxes until my back screams, so maybe my brain was fritzing. I jimmied the lock with a screwdriver, popped it open, and found everything inside exactly as I'd left it. Bed unmade, clothes on the floor, the faint hum of my box fan in the corner. Nothing out of place. I laughed it off, even told my buddy Mark about it over beers. Guess I'm locking myself in now, I said. He smirked and called me paranoid. But it kept happening. Every morning, without fail, that door was locked. I'd stumble out of bed, bladder aching, reach for the knob, and nothing. It wasn't just the deadbolt either, the little twist lock on the knob was engaged too, like someone had methodically secured it from the inside. I started checking it before bed, making sure it was unlocked, even propping a chair under the knob one night to see if that'd stop it. Next morning, the chair was back by the dresser and the door was locked again. I was done laughing by then. I called my landlord, a gruff guy named Tony who smells like motor oil and cheap cigars. He came over, squinted at the lock, and shrugged. Looks fine to me. You sure you ain't doing it yourself? I told him I wasn't, that I'd even recorded myself sleeping one night with my phone propped on the nightstand. The footage showed me passed out, snoring, not moving an inch until I woke up to the locked door. Tony scratched his beard, muttered something about weird tenants, and left. No help. That's when I decided to leave the key in the lock. It's an old brass thing, the kind with a skeleton key vibe, and it fits the deadbolt perfectly. My thinking was simple: if the key was already in there, no one, or nothing, could turn it from the inside without knocking it out. I'd hear that, wouldn't I? A clatter on the hardwood would wake me up and I'd catch whatever was messing with me. So, that night, I slid the key into the lock, gave it a test turn to make sure it worked, and left it there, dangling slightly off-center. I double-checked the windows, locked tight, set my phone to record again, and climbed into bed. Sleep didn't come easy. Every creak of the house felt louder, every gust of wind against the glass sharper. I kept picturing the key, just sitting there, waiting. Around 2 a.m. I jolted awake, heart pounding, convinced I'd heard something, a faint scrape, like metal on wood. I held my breath, listening, but the house was silent again. The fan hummed. The clock ticked. I told myself it was nothing, rolled over, and forced my eyes shut. Morning came gray and heavy, the kind of light that seeps through the curtains and makes everything look wrong. I sat up, rubbed my face, and glanced at the door. The knob didn't budge. Locked. My stomach dropped as I swung my legs out of bed and shuffled closer. The key wasn't there. It wasn't in the lock, wasn't on the floor, wasn't anywhere I could see. I pressed my ear to the door, half expecting to hear breathing or footsteps, but there was only silence, thick, suffocating silence. I grabbed the screwdriver from my nightstand, hands shaking, and started working the lock. It took longer than usual, my fingers kept slipping, sweat beading on my forehead. When the deadbolt finally clicked, I shoved the door open and froze. The room looked normal, bed still unmade, fan still humming, but the air felt off, heavier somehow. I scanned every corner, under the bed, inside the closet. Nothing. No key, no sign of anyone. Just my stuff mocking me. I checked the phone next. The recording had run all night, 8 hours of grainy footage. I scrubbed through it, watching myself sleep, the timestamp ticking by. At 1:58 a.m., there it was, the scrape I'd heard. The key shifted in the lock, just a twitch, then slid out slow and steady, like someone was pulling it from the other side. My sleeping self didn't stir. The key vanished from the frame, and the lock clicked shut a second later. No hands, no figure, just the key moving on its own. I rewatched it 3 times, chest tight, breath shallow. The 4th time, I noticed something else. In the corner of the screen, where the shadows pooled by the dresser, they weren't still. They rippled, faint but unmistakable, like something was standing there, watching me sleep. Watching me now. I haven't slept since. The door's locked again tonight, and I can hear it, the scrape, louder this time, closer. It's not just the key anymore. Something wants in. Or maybe it's already here. I haven't touched the bedroom door since that morning. It's still locked, the knob cold and unyielding every time I test it. I've been sleeping on the couch or trying to curled up under a thin blanket, staring at the hallway like it might swallow me whole. The house feels different now, like it's holding its breath, waiting for me to slip up. I don't know what's on the other side of that door anymore, but I know it's not just my room. After the video, I tore the place apart looking for the key. I flipped the mattress, emptied the dresser, even pried up a loose floorboard in the closet. Nothing. It's gone, like it was never here. I called Tony again, practically begging him to change the lock. He showed up 2 days later, tools clanking in a rusty box, and swapped the deadbolt for a shiny new one. "This'll fix your ghost problem," he said, smirking. I didn't laugh. I handed him the cash, locked the new deadbolt myself, and pocketed the key, a sleek, silver thing that felt too light in my hand. That night, I set up the phone again, this time in the living room, angled toward the hallway. I wasn't sleeping in there, not with the shadows moving, not with that scrape echoing in my head. I figured if something was messing with me, it'd have to come out eventually. The couch creaked under me as I lay there, eyes burning, listening to the house settle. The new lock was supposed to make me feel safe. It didn't. I woke up to sunlight stabbing through the blinds and a dead phone battery. My neck ached from the lumpy cushion and my mouth tasted like stale fear. I fumbled for the charger, plugged it in, and checked the footage. 6 hours of nothing, just me tossing on the couch, the hallway dark and still. Then, at 3:14 a.m., the screen flickered. Not static, not a glitch, but a ripple like heat waves over asphalt. The hallway light, I'd left it on, dimmed for a split second, and when it steadied, the bedroom door was cracked open. Just an inch, enough to see the black beyond it. I hadn't touched it. I hadn't gone near it. I dropped the phone, heart slamming against my ribs, and grabbed the new key from my pocket. I crept toward the hallway, every step heavier than the last. The air got colder the closer I got, a damp chill that clung to my skin. The door was still ajar, the gap too dark to see through, like it was swallowing the light. I reached for the knob, fingers trembling, and pushed. It swung open smooth and silent, revealing my room, bed unmade, fan off, clothes where I'd left them. But the key, the old brass one, was back. It sat on the nightstand, glinting in the thin morning light, right where I'd never put it. I didn't scream. I wanted to, but my throat locked up and all I could do was stare. The new key was still in my hand, the deadbolt still locked when I checked it. How did the old one get back? Who or what brought it? I snatched it up, the metal icy against my palm, and bolted out of there. I spent the day at a diner across town, nursing coffee and replaying the footage on my phone until the battery died again. That ripple, that open door, it wasn't a trick of the light. Something was in my house and it wasn't hiding anymore. I didn't want to go back, but I had nowhere else. By nightfall, I was back on the couch, the new key clutched tight, the old one shoved in a drawer I never opened. I set up 2 phones this time, one aimed at the hallway, the other at me, because I needed to know if I was still me, if I was still the only one here. Sleep came in fits, shallow and jagged, broken by every creak and groan of the house. Around midnight, I heard it again, the scrape. Not from the bedroom this time, but closer, somewhere in the living room. My eyes snapped open, darting around the dim space. The TV screen reflected the couch, the coffee table, the shadows. Nothing moved. But the sound didn't stop. It was under me. A slow, deliberate drag, metal on wood, coming from the floor beneath the couch. I froze, breath caught as it grew louder, sharper, like something was clawing its way up. I rolled off the couch, hitting the floor hard, and scrambled back. The noise stopped. Silence pressed in, thick and heavy, until I heard a faint tap, tap, tap. It was coming from the hallway now, steady, like footsteps too light to be human. I grabbed the phones, hands slick with sweat, and aimed the flashlight app down the hall. The bedroom door was wide open, the darkness inside pulsing alive. I didn't wait. I ran for the front door, fumbling with the lock, and stumbled into the night. The air outside was cold, biting, but it felt cleaner than the house. I sat on the curb, shaking, watching the windows for movement. Nothing. Just my reflection in the glass, pale and wild-eyed. I stayed there until dawn, the keys digging into my palm, too scared to go back in. The footage was waiting when I finally charged the phones. The hallway cam showed the door swinging open on its own at 12:03 a.m., the darkness spilling out like ink. The second phone, the one on me, caught something worse. Between the couch and the floor, in the gap where the sound came from, a hand pressed up, long, thin fingers, gray and slick, pushing against the underside of the cushions. It didn't break through. It didn't need to. It knew I'd see it. It wanted me to. I haven't gone back inside since I saw that hand. 3 nights now, I've been crashing in my car, parked a block away where I can still see the house but feel the distance. The seats reek of stale fast food, and my back's a mess from sleeping curled up, but it's better than being in there. The house sits quiet under the streetlights, windows dark, like it's pretending nothing's wrong. I know better, just waiting for me. I watched the footage again that first morning, hunched in the driver's seat with the doors locked. The hand wasn't a trick of the shadows. It was real, too real, pressing up from under the couch with a slow, deliberate flex of those gray fingers. They didn't claw or thrash. They just pushed, testing the fabric, then slid back into the dark like they'd made their point. The hallway cam showed the bedroom door staying open after that, the blackness inside thicker than before, like it was pulling out. I deleted the files. Seeing it once was enough. Work's been a blur. I've called in sick twice, but I can't keep it up. Rent's due soon, and I'm already stretched thin. During the day, I've been digging for answers. The library's got nothing on the house, just old property records showing it's been a rental since the 70s. No murders, no hauntings, nothing juicy. I asked Mark if he'd heard anything weird about the place. He grew up around here, but he just shrugged. Cheap houses come with quirks, he said. I didn't tell him about the hand. He'd think I'd lost it. Tony's no help either. I called him yesterday, voice cracking as I asked if anyone else had complained about the house. He laughed, a dry, hacking sound. You're the only one whining. Maybe lay off the late shifts. Sounds like you're seeing things. I hung up, hands shaking. He's wrong. I'm not seeing things. I'm feeling them. Every time I close my eyes, I hear that scrape, feel the weight of those fingers pushing up from below. Last night, I decided I had to go back. Not to stay, just to grab clothes, my laptop, enough to survive somewhere else until I figure this out. I waited until dusk, when the light was soft but not gone, and drove up to the curb. The house looked normal, too normal, like it was daring me to step inside. I gripped both keys, the new one and the old brass one I couldn't bring myself to ditch, and unlocked the front door. The air hit me first, stale and heavy, like the place hadn't breathed since I left. I flicked on the lights, half expecting them to fail, but they buzzed to life. The living room was unchanged. Couch crooked from my scramble, blanket crumpled on the floor. No scratches, no marks under the cushions. I didn't linger. I darted down the hallway, past the open bedroom door, and grabbed a duffel from the closet. The darkness in the room watched me. I could feel it on my neck, cold and steady. I shoved shirts, jeans, my charger into the bag, moving fast, breath shallow. That's when I heard it. A low, wet thud, like something heavy hitting the floor, came from the bedroom. I froze, bag half-zipped, listening. Another thud, softer, then a drag, slow, deliberate, with groaning under weight. My mouth went dry. I edged toward the doorway, phone flashlight trembling in my hand, and peered inside. The bed was empty, sheets tangled, but the floor, God, the floor. A trail of wet smears stretched from the bed to the far wall, dark and glistening, like something had crawled out and dragged itself away. The fan was tipped over, blade still, and the old key sat on the nightstand again, right where it had been before. I bolted, dropped the bag, ran for the front door, shoes slipping on the hardwood. The thudding followed, faster now, matching my steps. I hit the living room and yanked the door open, but it slammed shut before I could cross the threshold, hard, rattling the frame. I spun around, back to the wood, and saw it. Not a shape, not a figure, just the air bending, rippling like it had in the footage, right where the couch stood. The scrape came again, loud and sharp, and the couch shifted, jerked an inch toward me, then another. I didn't think. I grabbed a lamp off the table, swung it at the ripple, and heard a crack. Glass or bone, I don't know. The air stilled, the scrape stopped, and I wrenched the door open again. This time it let me go. I ran to the car, locked myself in, and peeled out, tire screaming. I didn't look back until I hit the highway, chest heaving, hands numb on the wheel. I'm at a motel now, $60 a night I can't afford, staring at the ceiling while the neon sign buzzes outside. The duffel's gone, left behind with everything else, but I've got the keys. They're on the nightstand, mocking me. I keep replaying it, the smears, the couch moving, the door slamming. It wasn't a ghost. Ghosts don't leave trails, don't push furniture. This is something else, something that knows me, something that wants me back. I called Mark an hour ago, told him everything. He's coming tomorrow to check the house with me, says I'm not going alone. I don't know if that's better or worse. Part of me thinks it's waiting for more than just me now that I've given it a taste of something new. The motel's quiet, but I hear it anyway, that scrape, faint and steady, like it's found me again. I check the door. Locked. I check the windows. Locked. I sit here, keys in hand, and wait for morning. But deep down, I know it's already here, under the bed, behind the walls, watching. It's not done with me yet. And I don't think it ever will be. I've always liked living alone. No roommates to hog the bathroom, no arguments over dishes. Just me, my little apartment, and the quiet. It's a ground floor unit, nothing fancy, with peeling paint and a view of the parking lot. I've been here 2 years, long enough to know its quirks. The radiator hisses, the fridge hums, and the floor creaks when it's cold. But the footprints, those aren't a quirk. Those are something else. They started a month ago. I'd wake up, shuffle to the kitchen for coffee, and there they'd be, wet, bare footprints on the linoleum, leading from the bathroom to the living room. Not huge, not small, just average, with toes splayed like someone had stood there dripping. The first time, I figured I'd spilled water and stepped in it. Half asleep, I mopped it up, didn't think twice. But the next morning they were back, same path, same damp sheen. I live alone. I don't walk around wet. And I sure as hell don't leave footprints I don't remember making. I checked the obvious stuff. The bathroom sink was dry, the shower curtain untouched. No leaks under the toilet. The front door was locked, deadbolt and chain, and the windows were sealed tight. No one could have gotten in. Still, I started locking the bathroom door at night just in case. Some dumb instinct telling me it'd help. Didn't. The footprints kept showing up. Every morning, like clockwork. I'd stand there, coffee going cold, staring at them until my skin crawled. They always dried up by noon, leaving nothing but a faint chill in the air. 2 weeks in, I set up my phone to record, propped it on the counter, aimed at the bathroom door, and let it run all night. I barely slept, ears straining for any sound, but the apartment stayed quiet. Morning came, and the footprints were there again, glistening under the kitchen light. I grabbed the phone, hands shaky, and scrubbed through the footage. 8 hours of nothing, darkness, the faint glow of the street lamp through the blinds. The bathroom door closed and locked. Then, at 3:27 a.m., it opened. Not fast, not dramatic, just a slow creak, the knob turning on its own. No one came out. The footprints didn't appear. The door just sat there, ajar, mocking me until the video cut to me stumbling in at dawn. I watched it 5 times, heart thudding louder each loop. No figure, no shadow, just the door moving like it had a mind of its own. I couldn't explain it, but I wasn't imagining it. That night, I dragged a chair from the kitchen and wedged it under the bathroom knob. If something was coming out, it'd have to fight for it. I double-checked the locks, set the phone to record again, and crashed on the couch, too wired to close my eyes. Around midnight I heard it, footsteps. Not loud, not heavy, but wet. A soft slap 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 on the tile. My breath caught and I fumbled for the light switch. The room flooded bright, and I froze. The footprints were there, fresh, wet, trailing from the bathroom to the edge of the couch. The chair was still in place, the door still shut, the lock still clicked. I yanked the chair away, flung the door open, and shone my phone's flashlight inside. Empty. Sink dry, shower dry, floor dry. But the prints, they were real, water pooling in the arches, dripping off the toes. I followed them back to the couch, where they stopped, like whatever made them had just vanished. I didn't sleep after that. I sat there, lights blazing, staring at the floor until sunrise. The next day, I called my landlord, a tired woman named Miss Carter who lives upstairs. She came down, squinted at the prints. I'd left them to show her and sighed. Pipes probably leaking somewhere. I'll send a guy. I told her the bathroom was dry, that I'd heard footsteps, that the door opened on video. She raised an eyebrow, muttered something about stress, and left. The plumber came later, poked around, found nothing. No leaks, he said, shrugging. Maybe check your shoes. I wanted to scream, My shoes don't leave barefoot prints. My shoes don't walk at night. I started sleeping with the lights on after that. Phone recording every second. The footsteps kept coming. Random times, 1 a.m., 3 a.m., once at 4:15, always wet, always from the bathroom. The chair didn't stop them. The lock didn't stop them. Last night, I'd had enough. I stayed up, sitting on the couch with a kitchen knife in my hand, waiting. The clock ticked past midnight, then 1 a.m., then 2. At 2:43, the slapping started, slow, deliberate, echoing from the bathroom. I gripped the knife, stood, and flipped on the light. The footprints were forming. Right in front of me, step by step, water bloomed on the floor like invisible feet were pressing it out of the air. They came straight at me, faster now, slap, 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 stopping inches from my bare toes. The air turned cold, sharp, and I swear I felt it. Something brushing my leg, damp and clammy, like a hand that wasn't there. I swung the knife, hit nothing but air, and stumbled back. The prints didn't move. They just sat there, wet and still, watching me. I'm writing this now locked in my bedroom, the knife beside me. The footage from last night shows it all, the prints appearing, me swinging, the empty space where something should have been. I don't know what's in my apartment, but it knows I'm here. It's close. And I think it's waiting for me to turn off the light. I haven't turned off the lights since that night. The bedroom's my bunker now, door locked, curtains drawn, every bulb burning. The knife's still here, blade dull from gripping it too hard, but it's all I've got. Sleep comes in scraps, 10 minutes here, 20 there, until the footsteps wake me. They're louder now, closer, slapping wet against the hardwood right outside my door. I don't open it. I can't. Whatever's out there, it wants me to look, and I'm not giving it that. The footage from that night plays in my head, even when I'm not watching it. Those prints forming step by step, like the floor was bleeding water from nowhere. My swing at the air, wild and useless, and that touch cold, slick, gone before I could scream. I've rewatched it too many times, zoomed in on the frames, looking for something, a shadow, a blur, anything. There's nothing. Just the prints and me, alone with them. I uploaded it to my laptop, backed it up on a USB, because if I lose my mind, I need proof I'm not crazy. Yesterday, I called Ms. Carter again. She didn't want to hear it, said I was making a fuss, but I begged her to come down. She showed up around noon, arms crossed, staring at the latest trail of prints snaking from the bathroom to my bedroom door. They were still wet hours after I'd heard the steps. This ain't normal, I said, voice cracking. She pursed her lips, poked at the water with her shoe, and sighed. I'll call someone. But you're cleaning it up. She left and I mopped the floor, hands shaking, feeling like I was erasing evidence. The someone was a priest. Not what I expected, but Ms. Carter's old school, superstitious. He arrived that afternoon, a wiry guy in his 50s named Father Ellis, carrying a black bag and a tired look. I showed him the footage, the prints I'd photographed before mopping everything. He didn't laugh or call me nuts, just nodded like he'd seen worse. Could be a restless spirit, he said, voice low. Something tight here, unsettled. You notice anything else? Smells, cold spots. I told him about the chill, the touch, the way the air shifts when the steps come. He frowned, opened his bag, and pulled out a vial of holy water and a worn Bible. He walked the apartment, splashing water on the walls, muttering prayers in a steady rhythm. I trailed behind, clutching my phone, recording it all. In the bathroom, he stopped, head tilted like he was listening. This is where it starts, he said, tracing a cross over the door. Something's rooted here. He sprinkled the floor, the sink, the shower, and I swear the tiles hissed, just a faint sizzle, gone fast. He didn't hear it, kept praying, but I felt it in my gut. Whatever it was, it didn't like him here. That night, I stayed in the bedroom, lights on, knife ready. Father Ellis left me a rosary, said to keep it close. I'm not religious, but I looped it around my wrist anyway, the beads digging into my skin. The footsteps didn't come at first, and I thought maybe he'd fixed it. Then, at 3:02 a.m., they started, not slapping, but dragging, a slow, wet scrape across the floor. I grabbed my phone, hit record, and pressed my ear to the door. The sound circled the living room, then stopped, right outside. The knob rattled, once, twice, then went still. I didn't breathe until sunrise. The video showed nothing, no prints, no shadow, just the door shaking in its frame. But the audio caught it, a low, gurgling hum under the scraping, like water trapped in a throat. I played it for Father Ellis when he called that morning. He went quiet, then said, "It's not gone. It's angry. I'll come back tomorrow with more." More what, he didn't say. I didn't ask. I just nodded into the phone, numb, and hung up. I couldn't stay still after that. I paced the bedroom, rosary tight on my wrist, until I couldn't stand it anymore. I had to know what was in the bathroom, what kept starting there. Midday, when the sun was high and the apartment felt less alive, I cracked the bedroom door and crept out. The living room was empty, couch untouched, but the bathroom door was shut. I hadn't closed it. I edged closer, knife raised, and turned the knob. It stuck, then gave, swinging open with a groan. The room was wrong. The mirror was fogged, streaked with condensation, though I hadn't showered in days. The air was thick, damp, like a swamp had settled in. And the floor, the floor was wet, not just prints but a slick, pooling sheen, rippling like something had just stepped out. I backed up, slamming the door, and ran to the bedroom, locking myself in. The rosary burned against my skin, not hot but cold, like ice sinking into my veins. I'm here now, writing this, lights blazing, phone recording. The dragging's back, louder, circling the apartment like it's pacing. The bedroom door's holding, but the walls, they're creaking, groaning, like something's pressing from the other side. I don't think Father Ellis can fix this. I don't think anyone can. It's not just in the bathroom anymore. It's everywhere, and it's coming for me. The lights just flickered. I don't know what happens when they go out. I'm not sure how much longer I can stay here. The lights keep flickering now, every few minutes, like the power's teasing me. I haven't slept in 2 days, not real sleep, just nodding off until the dragging jolts me awake. It's constant now, a wet, grinding sound that loops the apartment, never stopping, never speeding up, just wearing me down. Father Ellis was supposed to come back this morning, but he didn't. I called him, left a voicemail, my voice sounded wrong, high and thin like a kid's. He hasn't called back. I don't know if he will. The rosary's still on my wrist. It's heavier somehow, the beads cutting red lines into my skin. I don't take it off though, it's all I've got left. The knife's useless. I swung it at the door last night when the rattling got bad, hit nothing but wood, chipped the paint. Now the blade's bent. The bathroom's where it lives, I know that now, but it's not staying there anymore. The walls groan all the time, not just when the dragging comes. It's like they're bending, splitting, letting something through. I checked the bedroom door an hour ago. There were wet streaks on it, not prints, just smears running down like the wood was crying. I wiped them off with my sleeve, but they're back now, darker, glistening. I don't touch them anymore. The mirror in the bathroom, I saw it again yesterday. I had to pee, couldn't hold it anymore, cracked the bedroom door, and ran for it. The whole apartment was wet, floor slick, walls dripping like it had rained inside. The bathroom door was open. I didn't look long, just enough to see the mirror wasn't fogged this time. It was clear, too clear. My reflection was there, but it didn't move when I did. It just stared, eyes wide, mouth open like it was screaming. I bolted back to the bedroom, locked the door, and haven't gone out since. The phone's still recording, battery's low, but I keep it going. Every hour, I check the footage. The smears on the door show up first, faint, then thick. The dragging's louder in the audio, layered with that gurgling hum I heard before, wet and choked. Last night's clip caught something new. At 4:19 a.m., the bedroom door buckled, just a twitch like something heavy leaned against it. No shadow, no figure, but the wood creaked and the smears spread faster after that. I don't know what's pushing, but it's stronger now. Ms. Carter came by this afternoon. I heard her knocking, her voice muffled through the walls, calling my name. I didn't answer. I couldn't. The dragging stopped when she was here, like it was listening, waiting. She jiggled the front door, cursed about damn tenants, and left. The quiet lasted 10 minutes, then the footsteps came back, sharper, slapping hard, circling the bedroom. I think it knows I'm trapped. I think it likes it. I tried leaving this morning before the priest was due. Got as far as unlocking the bedroom door, peering into the living room. The floor was a swamp, water an inch deep, rippling with every step I didn't take. The couch was soaked, cushions sagging, and the air stank like stagnant ponds, thick and sour. I saw the bathroom door, wide open, and something moved inside, not a shape, just a shimmer like heat off pavement. The front door was right there, 10 feet away, but the water surged when I stepped forward, splashing up my legs, cold as ice. I stumbled back, locked myself in again. It didn't want me to go. The lights went out an hour ago. Not a flicker, a full blackout. I've got my phone flashlight, but it's dimming fast. The dragging's closer, right outside the door, and the smears are pooling under it now, seeping through the crack. The rosary's freezing, burning my wrist with cold, and I can't feel my fingers where it touches. I keep the knife up, aimed at nothing, shaking. The walls are cracking, sharp pops like drywall giving way. I hear it breathing now, a wet rasp, in and out everywhere at once. The phone's at 5%. Last footage I checked showed the door bowing inward, with splintering, and the water rising black, not clear, like ink spilling in. Something's in it, under it, moving with it. I saw a hand, not gray, not human, just a flash of fingers, webbed and pale, curling through the flood. It didn't come for me then. It's waiting now. The door's rattling again, harder, and the lock won't hold much longer. The rasp is louder right behind it, and I swear I hear my name, not MS. Carter's voice, not Father Ellis's, but mine, gargled and wrong. I'm writing this as the battery dies. Flashlight fading. The door's splitting, water pouring in, and the air's so cold I can't breathe right. It's here. The lights won't save me. The knife won't. I don't know what it wants, but it's not a spirit, not a ghost. It's alive, and it's been here all along, under the floor, in the walls, waiting for me to notice. The phone's done. The door's gone. It's in here with me now. I feel it. Wet. Clothes. Watching. I'd been gone for 3 months. Work sent me across the country, some corporate training gig in Seattle, all expenses paid, no choice but to go. My house sat empty the whole time, a little 2-bedroom place I'd bought cheap a year ago. It's got smart tech rigged up, lights, thermostat, a voice system called Echo that greets me when I walk in. I left it all on standby, locked the doors, and didn't think twice. Coming back was supposed to feel good, like slipping into an old routine. It didn't. The flight landed late, and I drove home through a drizzle that smeared the windshield. My street was quiet, the kind of suburban hush where you hear crickets over traffic. I pulled into the driveway, grabbed my duffel, and trudged to the porch. The motion sensor light flicked on, harsh and white, and the front door clicked unlocked, Echo's doing, recognizing my phone's signal. I stepped inside, dropped my bag, and waited for the usual. "Welcome home," it chirped, right on cue, voice crisp from the ceiling speakers. Then it paused, just a beat too long, and added, "Where have you been for so long?" I froze. It's not programmed to say that. Echo's a basic model, preloaded with standard phrases. Welcome home, good morning, lights on. No chit-chat, no questions. I stood there, rain dripping off my jacket onto the hardwood, staring at the little black hub on the kitchen counter. The house was dark except for the porch light bleeding through the windows, and the air felt stale, like it had been holding its breath. "Echo, what did you say?" I asked, voice shaky. Silence. The hub's blue ring pulsed once, then went dark. I told myself it was a glitch, some update I'd missed. I didn't believe it. I flipped on the lights, checked the locks, everything was fine. The place looked untouched, mail piled up on the counter, dust on the shelves, my coffee mug still in the sink where I'd left it. I dragged my bag to the bedroom, showered off the travel grime, and crashed hard. Jet lag hit me like a truck, and I was out before I could overthink it. Morning came slow, gray light seeping through the blinds. I rolled out of bed, groggy, and shuffled to the kitchen. "Good morning." Echo piped up as I passed the hub. Then, softer, "You're finally back." I stopped mid-step. This time, I knew I'd heard it. Not a glitch, not my imagination, the voice was lower, less mechanical, like it was testing me. I yanked the hub's plug from the wall, watched the blue ring die, and stood there, heart pounding. The house went quiet, but it didn't feel empty. It felt awake. I checked my phone, no updates to the system, no notifications. I plugged it back in, reset it to factory settings, and waited. "Welcome home," it said when it rebooted. Nothing else. I exhaled, told myself I'd been gone too long, that the isolation was messing with me. That day, I cleaned up, vacuumed, sorted mail, shook out the musty air. The house settled back into itself, or so I thought. Night fell, and I cooked dinner, pasta, simple, something normal. The lights dimmed on their own as I ate, a slow fade I hadn't triggered. "Echo, brighten the lights," I said. No response. The dimming stopped, then crept lower until the kitchen was shadows and the hum of the fridge sounded too loud. I got up, flipped the manual switch, and the bulbs flared back to life. From the counter, Echo muttered, "You left me alone." I unplugged it again. Sleep didn't come easy that night. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to the house creak, old pipes, old wood, nothing new. Around 2 a.m., the bedroom light snapped on, full blast. I jolted upright, squinting, and saw the switch flipped up. I hadn't touched it. "Echo?" I called, forgetting it was off. No answer, but the thermostat beeped across the room, numbers climbing 70, 75, 80, like it was cranking the heat. I stumbled over, slammed it off, and the light cut out, plunging me into dark. The air got cold fast, sharper than it should have, and I heard it, a faint hum, not mechanical, more like a voice stretched thin, coming from the walls. I didn't sleep after that. I sat up, phone in hand, Googling smart home malfunctions. Firmware bugs, hacked systems, nothing fit. Mine's offline when I'm not here, no Wi-Fi, no remote access. Whatever this was, it was in the house, not the cloud. Dawn broke and I checked every room, every wire. The hub stayed unplugged, but the lights flickered twice while I made coffee and the thermostat clicked on again, alone. I ripped its batteries out, tossed them in the trash. The hum came back, louder, threading through the floorboards. I called the company that installed it, some tech outfit downtown. The guy on the line sounded bored, said it was probably signal interference or user error. I told him the hub was off, that it spoke unplugged. He paused, then said, "That's not possible. Bring it in, we'll check." I didn't. I couldn't shake the feeling that leaving would make it worse, that the house wouldn't let me take it. By noon, the hum was a drone, steady, and the lights wouldn't stay off. I flipped switches, they flipped back. I sat on the couch, hands shaking, and heard it clear as day. No hub, no speakers. You shouldn't have left. It wasn't echo. It was the house. And it remembered me. I haven't plugged the hub back in since that first night. But it doesn't matter. The house doesn't need it anymore. The voice keeps coming, low and uneven, seeping from the walls like damp through plaster. It's not echo's clean, robotic tone. It's rougher, personal, like someone's been waiting to speak. I've stopped asking questions out loud. Every time I do, it answers and I can't handle that. Yesterday, I whispered, "What do you want?" under my breath, and the lights pulsed, 3 slow blinks, before it said, "You." I haven't spoken since. I tried leaving that afternoon. Packed a bag, grabbed my keys, made it to the front door. The lock wouldn't turn. I twisted the deadbolt, yanked the knob, but it held like it was welded shut. The windows wouldn't budge either. Latches stuck, glass cold and unyielding. I smashed a chair against the living room pane. It bounced off with splintering, leaving not a scratch. The hum swelled then, vibrating the floor, and the voice came again, "Stay." I dropped the chair, backed away, and watched the lights dim to a sickly yellow. Night was worse. I stayed in the bedroom, door locked. Not that it matters. The thermostat's dead, battery's gone, but the heat kicked on anyway, climbing until sweat soaked my shirt. Then it dropped, sharp and fast, frosting my breath. The walls creaked, louder than settling, like they were shifting, tightening. I heard footsteps. Not mine, soft thuds circling the house, floorboards groaning under weight. I checked the windows, the hall, nothing. Just the sound, endless, closing in. At 3 a.m., the bedroom door rattled, a slow shake, and the voice whispered through the keyhole, "I missed you." I jammed a dresser against it, heart slamming, and didn't sleep. Morning brought no relief. The power's off. I flipped the breaker myself, killed every fuse, but the lights still glow, faint and flickering. The fridge hums, the oven clock blinks midnight. I tore the cords from the outlets. They sparked, but nothing stopped. The house is alive, running on something else. I found scratches on the kitchen wall while making coffee. Thin, jagged lines, fresh, spelling "here" in sloppy capitals. I hadn't seen them before. I scrubbed them with a sponge, but they bled back through the paint, wet and dark, like ink welling up. I called work, told them I wasn't coming in. My boss didn't care, said I sounded sick to take the week. I didn't tell him why. How do you explain this? I tried the tech company again, got a different guy. He laughed when I said the system worked unplugged, called it a good one, and hung up. I threw the phone across the room. It hit the wall, cracked the screen, and the voice chuckled, deep, guttural, from the ceiling. The hum's a constant now, threading every room, and the footsteps follow me, pacing wherever I go. I searched the house today, desperate for something, proof, a source, anything. The basement's the only place I hadn't checked. It's a crawl space, really damp and low, access through a hatch in the laundry room. I pried it open, flashlight shaking in my hand, and climbed down. The air was thick, earthy, like wet dirt after rain. The beam caught pipes, cobwebs, a rusted water heater. Then it hit something else, scratches, hundreds of them, carved into the concrete walls. Names, dates, words, left, back, mine. Some were old, flaking. Others fresh, deep, still dusted with grit. My name was there, near the bottom, gouged hard. flanked by where and now. I scrambled out, slammed the hatch and dragged the dryer over it. The footsteps thudded louder after that, circling the laundry room, and the voice hissed, "Found me." The lights flared, blinding, then cut to black. I stumbled to the living room, tripping over my bag, and sat there, flashlight dying, listening. The walls pulsed, slow, like a heartbeat, and the air got heavy, pressing my chest. I felt it then, a touch, not cold, not wet, just there, brushing my shoulder, lingering. I swung the flashlight. Nothing. The voice laughed again, closer, from the couch beside me. I'm writing this now, holed up in the bedroom, dresser still against the door. The power's off, but the hum's deafening, rattling my teeth. The footsteps don't stop. Thud, 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 looping the house, faster now. The scratches are spreading. I saw them on the bedroom door this morning. Stay etched deep, wood curling like it was clawed. The windows are fogged, not from weather. Handprints smear the glass. Too many, overlapping, pressing in. I don't look too long. The voice talks more, fragments at first gone, mine, here, but it's stringing sentences now. "You shouldn't have left me alone," it said an hour ago, clear as day from the closet. I tried the door again, pounded it, kicked it. It didn't give. The phone's dead, charger useless with no juice. The flashlight's a ghost of light, barely cutting the dark. The touch comes more, shoulders, neck, once my face, soft, deliberate, like it's learning me. The walls groan, the heartbeat thumps, and the voice won't shut up. I waited, it says, over and over, from everywhere, ceiling, floor, under the bed. I don't know what it is, house, spirit, something worse, but it knows me, remembers me, and it's angry I left. The footsteps are at the door now, not circling, just standing. The dresser's shaking. It's coming in. I don't think I can stop it. The dresser didn't hold. It slid across the floor last night, slow at first, then fast, crashing into the bed with a splintering crack. I barely scrambled to my feet when the door swung open, not forced, not slammed, just open, like I'd invited it in. The dark beyond it wasn't empty, it moved, thick and slow, spilling into the room. The hum was a roar now, shaking the walls, and the voice came with it, not from one spot but everywhere. "You're mine again." I didn't scream, couldn't, just stood there, flashlight dead in my hand, watching it take the room. The lights flared back on, not electric but wrong, pale, flickering, like fire behind glass. The footsteps didn't echo anymore, they were here, thudding soft around me, circling tight. I felt the touches again, fingers, palms, brushing my arms, my back, too many to count, too real to ignore. The air thickened, tasting of rust and damp earth, and the walls wept, wet streaks running down, pooling black on the floor. The scratches spread, clawing across the ceiling now, mine, over and over, jagged and deep. I backed against the bed, nowhere to go, and it spoke again, low, right in my ear. I waited so long. I swung the flashlight, hit nothing but air, and the laugh came sharp, guttural, rattling my skull. The bed shifted then, frame groaning, mattress sinking like something heavy climbed on. I stumbled away, tripped over my bag, and landed hard. The room tilted, not my eyes, the floor sloping toward the door like it wanted me out there, in the rest of the house. The touches turned to grips, cold and firm, pulling at my shirt, my hair. I fought, kicked, clawed at the air, but there was nothing to hit. The voice kept talking, threading through the hum. "You left. I stayed. You're back. I keep." I crawled for the hall, desperate, floor slick under my hands. The living room was worse, furniture shifted, couch tipped, table on its side. The walls pulsed harder, heartbeat loud, and the scratches covered everything, names, dates, my name, everywhere, mixed with here and now and forever. The front door hung open, just a crack, night air seeping in. I lunged for it, hope flaring, but it slammed shut as my fingers grazed the knob. The grips tightened, dragging me back, and the voice hissed, "No more leaving." I don't know how I got free, adrenaline, maybe, but I tore loose, ran for the basement hatch. It was my last shot. The dryer was still over it, heavy, but I shoved it aside, nails splitting on the wood. The hatch flew open, and I dropped down, hitting the dirt hard. The air was colder here, wetter, and the scratches glowed faint on the walls, my name, others, a map of who'd been here, who'd left, who'd stayed. The hum followed, vibrating the foundation, and the footsteps thudded above, slow, searching. I crouched, breathless, scanning for a way out, a vent, a crack, anything. There was a pipe, rusted and wide, running through the far wall. I crawled to it, dirt caking my hands, and peered inside. It stretched dark, maybe to the outside, maybe to freedom. The touches found me again, sharp now, digging into my shoulders, and the voice boomed, "You can't." I swung back, elbow cracking something, not air, something solid, and the grip loosened. I dove into the pipe, scraping knees and palms, moving fast. The hum chased me, the walls shook, but I kept going, clawing through muck and dark until I saw a pinprick of light. I burst out into the backyard, grass wet under me, night sky wide above. The house loomed behind, lights flickering, windows fogged with those handprints. I ran street, neighbors, anywhere, didn't stop until I hit a gas station 2 miles away, panting, filthy, alive. The clerk stared, asked if I was okay. I didn't answer, just sat there, shaking until dawn. I haven't gone back. Won't. My stuff's there, my life's there, but it's not mine anymore. I'm at a motel now, cheap and loud, writing this on napkins because my phone's dead in that house. I called the police that morning, told them I'd been burgled, couldn't say the truth. They checked, found the door locked, windows fine, no sign of break-in. Looks normal, they said. You sure you didn't just spook yourself? I hung up. Mark came by yesterday, drove me past the place. The lights were off, blinds shut, like it was sleeping. He offered to grab my things, I said no. He doesn't get it. No one does. The scratches are on me now, not deep, just faint lines on my arms, my neck where it touched me. They don't fade, don't heal, just sit there, red and raw. I hear the hum sometimes, faint, in quiet moments, not from the motel, from me, like it's stuck inside. Last night, the motel TV flickered, and I swear I heard it, your mind, soft, from the static. I unplugged it, sat in the dark, waiting for the footsteps. They didn't come, but the air shifted, heavy, like it's watching. I'm moving tomorrow, another city far from that house. I don't know if it'll help. It knew me, remembered me, kept me in its walls, its dirt, its voice. The scratches itch now, sharper, and the hum's back, low in my chest. I see it in mirrors sometimes, not my reflection, but the house, faint behind me, windows glaring. It's not done. I left, but it didn't. It's still here in me, waiting. I don't sleep much. When I do, I dream of the hatch, the pipe, the grips pulling me back. And the voice, always the voice, where are you going this time? I don't have an answer. I don't think it cares. It'll find me. It always will. I've never been one for old things. Antiques, heirlooms, stuff with history. They feel heavy, like they carry more than just dust. But the mirror came with the house. A fixer-upper I bought last spring. Cheap because the previous owner died in it, old age, nothing creepy, or so the realtor said. The mirror hung in the hallway, tall and narrow, framed in dark wood that looked chewed up by time. This glass was cloudy, warped at the edges, but I didn't mind. Fit the vibe, worn, quiet, mine, until I decided to take it down. It was a Saturday, late afternoon, the kind of day where the light slants low and turns everything gold. I'd been painting the living room, and the mirror caught my eye, out of place against the fresh walls. I figured I'd swap it for something modern, maybe sell it. I grabbed a screwdriver, climbed a stepladder, and started prying at the rusty brackets holding it up. It didn't budge at first, stuck tight like the wall didn't want to let go. I wedged harder, felt it give, and then it came loose, heavier than I expected, tipping me off balance. I caught it, barely, and hauled it to the floor. That's when I saw the back. The wood was rough, splintered, but there were scratches, deep, deliberate, gouged into the grain. Not random, not wear and tear. Words. I tilted it into the light, squinting, and made them out. Don't look. Uneven, jagged, like someone had clawed them in with a knife. My stomach twisted. I ran my fingers over the cuts. Fresh, no dust, no rot, and pulled back fast. The air shifted, cooler, sharper, like the hall had shrunk around me. I laughed it off, a nervous bark, and told myself it was just some weird prank, a leftover from the old guy who'd lived here. I leaned the mirror against the wall, face down, and went back to painting. But I couldn't shake it. The words stuck in my head, looping, "Don't look," like a warning I didn't ask for. That night, I dragged it to the garage, shoved it behind some boxes, and locked the door. The house felt lighter without it, or so I thought. I crashed early, paint fumes and unease pulling me under. Around midnight, I woke up, sharp, no grogginess, to a sound. A faint tap, 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 steady, coming from the hallway. I grabbed my phone, flicked on the flashlight, and crept out of bed. The hall was empty, lights off, paint cans still stacked where I'd left them. The tapping stopped when I stepped out, but the air was wrong, thick, like I was breathing through a mask. I checked the front door, locked. Windows shut. Nothing. I chalked it up to the house settling, old bones creaking, and went back to bed. The tapping started again as soon as I closed my eyes. Louder, closer, right outside my door. I didn't get up. I didn't want to. Morning came and I avoided the hall. Made coffee in the kitchen. Kept the radio on loud to drown out the quiet. But I heard it anyway. Tap, tap, tap. Faint under the music threading through the walls. I checked the garage after breakfast just to be sure. The mirror was where I'd left it, face down, buried behind boxes. I didn't touch it, didn't look, just shut the door and went back inside. The tapping followed me all day, soft in the morning, sharper by noon, a nail-on-glass rhythm by dusk. It wasn't the house. It was something else. I called my sister, Jen, that night. She's into weird stuff, ghost stories, urban legends. Thought she'd laugh it off or have some dumb theory. I told her about the mirror, the scratches, the sound. She didn't laugh. "Don't mess with it," she said, voice tight. "Mirrors like that, old ones, they hold things. Leave it alone." I asked what she meant, but she just said, "Trust me," and hung up. I didn't sleep after that. The tapping turned to scraping, slow, deliberate, like something dragging across the floor. And it was in the house now, not the garage. I checked the hall at 2 a.m. Couldn't take it anymore. The mirror was back. Not leaned, not propped. Hung up, brackets screwed tight. Exactly where it had been before. I hadn't moved it. I hadn't touched it. The glass stared at me, dark and still, reflecting the phone's weak light. I didn't look long. Couldn't. Just turned and locked myself in the bedroom. The scraping stopped, but the air pressed heavier, buzzing against my skin. I sat on the bed, phone recording, waiting. At 3:14, the door rattled. Once, hard, and I heard it, low, muffled, from the hall. "Don't." One word, not mine, not human. The video caught it all. The rattle, the voice, the mirror in the background when I cracked the door later, too scared to stay blind. Its glass wasn't cloudy anymore. It was clear, sharp, and something moved in it. Not my reflection. Not the hall. Just a flicker, gray and quick, gone when I blinked. I'm in the bedroom now, door locked, lights on, writing this. The scraping's back, circling the house, and the mirror's out there, waiting. I don't know what it wants, but it doesn't want me to look. And I'm starting to think I already have. I haven't left the bedroom since I saw that flicker in the mirror. The door's locked, a chair wedged under the knob, but it doesn't feel like enough. The scraping's constant now, a slow drag that circles the house, hallway, living room, kitchen, always coming back to scratch at my door. It's not loud, not frantic, just steady, like it's got all the time in the world. I keep the lights on, phone charging, recording everything. The battery's holding, but my nerve isn't. I hear it out there, waiting, and I know it's tied to that damn mirror. I checked the footage from last night again this morning, zoomed in on that flicker. It's their frame, 3 hours 14 minutes and 7 seconds, a gray smear in the glass, too fast to pin down, but it's not me. My reflection's there too, pale and shaky, holding the phone, but this thing's behind it, moving when I didn't. I paused it, stared until my eyes burned, and saw outlines, long, thin, like fingers stretching across the frame. Then it's gone and the glass is empty again. I deleted it. Didn't help. I still see it every time I close my eyes. The tapping started up around noon, layered under the scraping, a sharp, insistent peck like nails on wood. I thought it was the door at first, but it's higher, near the ceiling. I looked up, saw nothing, no cracks, no marks, just smooth paint and the light fixture flickering despite the switch being on. The air's heavier now, thick with something sour, like damp rot. I cracked the window an inch, desperate for fresh air, but it slammed shut before I could breathe, latch clicking locked on its own. The voice came then, louder, from the hall, "Don't." I stumbled back, tripped over the chair, and stayed down, listening to it echo. Jen called at 2 p.m. I didn't want to answer, didn't want her dragged into this, but I needed someone to hear me. "It's back on the wall," I said, voice low, like it might hear. "It moved. It's doing things." She went quiet, then asked if I'd looked at it, really looked. I said no, not straight on, just glances. "Good," she said. "Don't. There's stories, old mirrors, trapped stuff." You look too long, it sees you back. I asked what it was. She didn't know, just said to get rid of it, burn it if I had to. I laughed bitter. I can't even get out. I tried after she hung up. Pushed the chair aside, turned the knob, unlocked now, like it was daring me. The hall was dark, lights off despite the day outside, and the mirror hung there, glass glinting. I kept my eyes down on the floor and shuffled toward the garage. The scraping followed, fast, right behind me, and the tapping rained from above, pelting the ceiling. I made it to the kitchen, grabbed a hammer from the drawer, and turned back. The mirror was closer, 5 feet from where it had been, brackets empty, just standing upright on the floor. I didn't stop to think. I ran for the front door, hammer raised. It wouldn't open. Knob turned, deadbolt clicked, but the wood held fast, rattling under my fists. The scraping stopped and the tapping zeroed in above me, sharp and close. I swung the hammer at the door, dented it, splintered it, but it didn't break. The voice hissed, "Don't," from the mirror behind me, now too close. I spun, kept it in my peripheral, saw it standing there, glass black, not reflecting the room. Something moved in it again, slower, deliberate, pressing against the surface. I bolted back to the bedroom, slammed the door, chair back in place. The scraping resumed, lazy, circling again. I'm writing this now, 6 p.m., sun sinking outside but the house staying dark. The mirror's out there, I hear it shifting, wood creaking as it drags itself closer. The tapping's in the walls now, not just the ceiling, a frantic rhythm that shakes the light fixture. The air's unbearable, wet, heavy, like I'm drowning in it. I checked the footage from this afternoon, the run to the door. It caught the mirror moving, not fast, not jerky, just sliding smooth across the floor, stopping when I turned. The glass showed nothing, no room, no me, just gray, and those fingers, clearer now, long and bent, pushing out, stretching the surface like its skin. I called Jen again, begged her to come, to bring help, cops, a priest, anyone. She said she'd try, but her voice broke like she knew it wouldn't matter. The line cut mid-sentence, static swallowing her. The phone's still working, but calls won't go through now, just silence, then that voice, faint, "Look. I won't. I can't." The scratchings at the door again, deeper, gouging, and the tappings inside the room, above my head, raining dust. The mirror's close, I feel it, a pull, like it's breathing down my neck. I'm staying put, lights on, eyes on the floor. The hammer's beside me, useless against whatever this is. The voice keeps whispering, "Look, look, look," from the walls, the ceiling, the door. The glass is out there, waiting, and I know it's not empty anymore. It's full, alive, and it wants me to see. I don't know how long I can hold out. The tapping's louder, the scratchings through the wood, and the air's so thick I can barely write. It's here. It's waiting. And it's not patient anymore. The chair didn't stop it. The door's gone now, splintered, hanging off its hinges, claw marks raking through the wood like it was paper. I didn't see it happen, I heard it, felt it, the scraping turned to tearing, the tapping to pounding, and then a crack that shook the room. I'm on the bed, back to the wall, hammer gripped tight, but it's useless. The mirror's in here with me, standing at the foot of the bed, glass black and rippling. It didn't slide this time. It walked, slow, deliberate thuds I felt through the floorboards. It's here, and it's done waiting. The lights went out an hour ago, not flickering, just dead. My phone's flashlight is all I've got, a thin beam I keep aimed at the floor. I don't point it at the mirror, can't risk it, but I see it in the edges, the frame looming, the glass moving like water under skin. The air's choking, wet and sour, and the walls are sweating, dark streaks running down, pooling at the baseboards. The tapping's everywhere now, a storm in the ceiling, the floor, the bed frame shaking dust into my eyes. The voice doesn't whisper anymore, it growls, "Look," over and over, from the glass, the walls, my own head. I tried calling Jen again before the door gave, screamed into the phone for her to hurry. Static cut me off, then that voice, louder, "No one." The line's been dead since, screen flickering like it's infected. The footage from earlier's still there, the last clip I recorded before it got in. The mirror's in the hall, then gone, then here frame by frame, it's closer, glass bulging, those fingers pressing out, bending the surface. Something's behind them now, a shape, gray and hunched, pushing harder. I stopped watching when it started moving toward the door. I don't need to see the rest. The bed's shaking now, not from me, from it. The mirror's closer, inches from my feet, and I feel it pulling, a tug in my chest, my eyes, begging me to lift them. I won't. I stare at the sheets, the hammer, my hands anything but that glass. The scratches on the back, "Don't look," burn in my mind, but it's fighting me, whispering, "You already did," soft and slick, like it knows. The tapping's in my skull, a drill behind my eyes, and the air's so thick I gag on every breath. It's winning. I feel it. Something touched me 10 minutes ago, not the air, not a draft, something solid, cold, wrapping my ankle. I kicked, swung the hammer, hit nothing but mattress. The grip tightened, slid up my leg, slow and wet, then let go. I heard it then, a laugh, low and gurgling from the mirror. The glass rippled harder, a wet slap against the frame, and the shapes clearer now even in the dark, long, thin, folding out of the black. It's not just fingers anymore. It's more, and it's coming. I tried the window again, smashed the hammer against it, nothing, not a crack, just a dull thud like hitting stone. The voice roared, "Stay," and the bed lurched, tipping me toward the mirror. I caught the headboard, pulled back, but it's stronger now, the pull sharper, dragging my gaze up. I clenched my eyes shut, screamed, and it laughed again, louder, rattling the walls. The tapping stopped, sudden and total, and the silence is worse, heavy, final, like the house is holding its breath. I'm writing this blind, pen scraping paper I can't see, flashlight dying. The mirror's humming, a low buzz that vibrates my bones, and the shape's out, I feel it, not just in the glass, in the room. It's tall, too tall, brushing the ceiling, and wet, dripping, slapping the floor as it moves. It's circling me, slow, dragging the cold touch over my arms, my neck, my face. I keep my eyes shut, but it's in my head, whispering, "Look, look, look," soft now, pleading. The hammer's gone, yanked from my hand, clattered somewhere, and the bed sinking, wood cracking under weight that's not mine. The flashlight's out. I hear it breathing, close, wet and ragged, right above me. The air's liquid, pressing me down, and the shapes on the bed, I feel the mattress dip, the frame groan. It's heavy, solid, and it smells like rot, like something dragged up from deep water. The voice isn't words anymore, just sounds, gurgles, hisses, curling around my name. It knows me. It's always known me. The scratches weren't a warning for me, they were about me. I looked when I took it down, saw the words, and that was enough. It's touching me again, both hands now, long and bony, pinning my arms. I thrash, scream, but it holds tight, pulling me down, toward the glass. I know it's there, inches away, humming louder. My eyes are shut, but I see it anyway, gray flesh, bent limbs, a face that's not a face, stretching toward me. It's not in the mirror anymore. It's out and it's mine. The bed's gone, the floor's gone, just me in it, sinking into something cold and endless. The last thing I feel is its breath. Wet on my eyes, forcing them open. I looked. I had to. It's not gray. It's me, twisted, screaming, trapped in the glass where it used to be. I'm the flicker now, the shape pounding the surface, begging to get out. The house is quiet again. The mirror back on the wall. Waiting. Jen's knocking. I hear her, faint, through the black, but I can't answer. I'm here, watching, scratching, don't look from the other side, knowing no one will listen. It's not done. It never will be. I've lived in this house for 5 years, a modest 2-story with creaky floors and a steep staircase that groans under every step. It's old, built in the 40s, but it's home. The stairs are narrow, 12 steps from the landing to the ground floor, worn smooth by decades of feet. I know them by heart, up to bed, down for coffee, no surprises. Until last week, when they changed. It was late, past midnight. I'd been up working freelance coding, the kind of grind that blurs the hours, and headed downstairs for water. The house was quiet, just the hum of the fridge and the faint tick of the clock in the living room. I flicked on the stairwell light, started down, and counted out of habit. 1, 2, 3. By 10, I should have hit the foyer. I didn't. My foot landed on another step, then another, 13, 14, and the light above dimmed, flickering like a dying bulb. I stopped, hand tight on the rail, and looked back. The landing was gone, just a gray haze where it should have been. I told myself I'd miscounted, that I was tired. I kept going, 15, 16, the stairs still descending, wood colder under my bare feet. The walls tightened, plaster brushing my shoulders, and the air thickened, damp and stale, like a basement I didn't have. At 20, I stopped again. The light was a pinprick now, barely cutting the dark, and the rail vibrated, a low hum I felt in my bones. I turned to climb back up, but the steps behind me stretched into shadow, no landing, no door, just more stairs fading up forever. My stomach dropped. I called out, "Hello?" Dumb, but panic makes you do things. My voice didn't echo, it sank, swallowed by the dark. I took a step up, testing, and the wood groaned, louder than usual, like it was bending. Another step, then another, 5, 10, and still no landing, just the haze, thicker now, curling around my ankles. The hum grew, threading the air, and the stairs felt wrong, slippery, uneven, tilting me forward. I gripped the rail harder, climbed faster, counting backward in my head, but the numbers didn't match. I was nowhere. Down was my only shot. I turned, descended again, 20, 25, the dark closing in, walls so tight I had to hunch. The light was gone, just a memory, and the air stung my lungs sharp with something metallic. At 30, I hit a landing, not mine. It was stone, rough and wet, not the polished wood of my foyer. The hum stopped, sudden, and silence pressed in, heavy enough to choke. I fumbled for my phone, left it upstairs, useless, and felt the walls. Cold, slimy, no plaster, just jagged rock. I wasn't in my house anymore. Footsteps came then, faint, below me, slow, deliberate, slapping on wet stone. I froze, breath shallow, listening. They climbed closer, slap, 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 steady, unhurried, like they knew I was there. I backed up, hit a wall, found another stairwell going down, narrower, spiraling. No choice. I took it, steps slick, hands scraping rock to steady myself. The footsteps followed, louder, wetter, and a voice, low, garbled, muttered something I couldn't catch. It wasn't English, wasn't anything I knew. The spiral went on 50 steps, 60, the dark absolute, my hands raw from gripping stone. The air got colder, wetter, dripping on my neck from above. The footsteps stopped, but the voice didn't. Closer now, behind me, hissing words that crawled under my skin. I ran, stumbled, caught myself on a step that crumbled, sending pebbles skittering down. At 80, the stairs ended flat ground, stone again, and a faint glow ahead, green and sickly. I crept toward it, heart hammering, and saw a chamber, low ceiling, walls slick with moss, a pool in the center, water black and still. The glow came from the pool, pulsing slow, lighting the room enough to see shadows, tall, thin, lining the walls. Not people, not statues, just shapes, carved into the rock, faces blank, arms bent wrong. The voice came from the pool, clearer, stay. I backed up, hit the stairs, and the shapes moved, slight, a twitch, stone grinding on stone. The footsteps started again, above me now, descending fast. I ran back up, legs burning, counting steps, 10, 20, the glow fading, dark swallowing me again. I don't know how long I climbed. The stairs twisted, looped, doubled back. The voice chased me, stay, 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 overlapping, echoing from everywhere. The footsteps were everywhere too, above, below, beside me, slapping stone, closing in. At some point, I tripped, fell hard, and the rail was wood again, familiar, dry. I climbed blind, gasping, until my hand hit a door, the bedroom door. I shoved it open, stumbled in, slammed it shut. The light was on, my phone on the nightstand, clock blinking 12:03 a.m. 3 minutes since I'd gone down. I'm writing this now, locked in, stairs quiet outside. The house feels normal, fridge humming, clock ticking, but I hear it still, faint under the floor, slap, slap, slap. The stairwell light's off, I won't turn it on. I don't know where I went, what I saw, but it's not done with me. The door's holding, but the hum's back, vibrating the walls, and I feel it watching. I won't go down again. I can't. I haven't left the bedroom since that night. The door's locked, a dresser shoved against it, and I've taped the cracks with duct tape, like that'll stop anything. The house is quiet during the day, deceptively normal, sunlight through the blinds, birds outside, the hum gone. But I don't trust it. The stairs are out there, waiting, and I feel them, even up here, a pull, a tilt in the floor that wasn't there before. I've stayed put, living off granola bars and a half-empty water bottle from my nightstand, too scared to cross the landing. I checked my phone that first morning, hands shaking as I scrubbed through the last call, the last text, nothing odd, just work stuff. No proof, no record, just my memory of those endless steps, that chamber, the voice. I set it to record anyway, propped it by the door, letting it run all day. The battery died by noon and I charged it, replaying the audio. Static, mostly, then a faint slap, wet, distant, around 3 a.m. It's on there, buried under the hiss, and I can't unhear it. Something's still moving down there. Night came and the hum started again, low, threading the walls, buzzing in my teeth. I sat on the bed, lights on, listening. The footsteps followed, not loud, not close, just enough to know they're there, pacing the stairwell. I cracked the door once, just an inch, peering out. The landing was normal, wood floor, light switch, stairs descending into shadow, but the air was wrong, heavy, like it was pushing back. I slammed it shut when the slap, slap, slap sped up, climbing closer. The dresser stayed put since. I called my friend Sam yesterday, voice low, like it might hear. He's a contractor, knows old houses, figured he'd have some rational take, warped joists, bad plumbing, anything. I told him about the stairs, the chamber, the shapes. He didn't laugh, just went quiet, then said, "You sure you didn't dream it?" I sent him the audio clip, the slap in the static. He called back an hour later, voice tight. "That's not pipes. Get out. I'll come tomorrow." I told him I couldn't, the door's locked, but I don't trust leaving this room. He said he'd bring tools, break in if he had to. I hope he does. The hum's louder tonight, rattling the dresser, and the footsteps aren't pacing anymore. They're climbing, slow and steady, slap 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 on wood, then stone, then wood again. I hear the voice too, faint under the hum, stay. It's clearer now, wetter, like it's closer to the surface. The floor's tilting again, sharper, pulling me toward the door. I've wedged myself against the headboard, feet braced on the mattress, fighting it. The tape's peeling, curling at the edges, and the air seeping in cold, damp, metallic. I checked the window this morning, thinking escape. Second story, no tree, just a straight drop to the lawn. I pried it open, leaned out, the air was clean, sharp, real? I could have jumped, risked a twisted ankle, but the hum spiked when I touched the sill, and the stairs groaned, loud, like they felt me. The window slammed shut, glass rattling, and the voice hissed, no, from the floor below. I haven't tried again. It knows when I move. The phone's recording now, battery half gone, aimed at the door. The hum's a drone, shaking the walls, and the footsteps are at the landing. I hear them through the wood, slapping wet, stopping, starting. The dresser's shifting, inching forward, not fast, just enough to show it's losing. I've got a lamp in my hand, unplugged, ready to swing, but it's a joke. I know it won't stop what's coming. The voice is everywhere, walls, ceiling, under the bed saying, stay, 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 overlapping, drowning the hum. I'm writing this as it gets worse. The floor's buckled, sloping hard, and the dresser's halfway across the room, tape snapping. The door's rattling, not locked anymore, just held by weight, and the slap 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 is right there, inches away. The air's thick, wet, dripping down the walls, and the shapes, I see them now, shadows on the blinds, tall and bent, twitching like they did in the chamber. They're not just down there. They're here, pressing in. The phone caught something an hour ago, I checked it, couldn't help it. The door's still shut in the footage, but the floor, God, the floor ripples like water under wood, and a hand breaks through, not gray, not human, just pale and webbed, clawing up, then sinking back. The slap comes after, loud, wet, and the voice whispers, stay, clear as day. I deleted it, but it's burned in me, the hand, the ripple, the pull. It's at the door now, not knocking, just standing, slapping stops, hum stops, silence worse than both. The dresser's slipping, with screeching, and the door's cracking, splintering slow. I feel it watching, waiting, and the floor's soft under me, giving way. Sam's not here yet, it's 2 a.m. He won't come till dawn if he comes at all. The lamp's heavy in my hand, the phone's dying, and the voice says, look, soft, final. I won't. I can't. But it's coming in, and I don't know where these stairs end anymore. The dresser didn't hold. It slid away last night, slow at first, then fast, crashing against the wall like something shoved it. The door didn't just open, it burst, with splintering, hinges screaming, and the dark poured in. Not shadow, not night, something thicker, wetter, swallowing the bedroom light. I swung the lamp, hit nothing but air, and the voice roared, stay, from everywhere, walls, floor, my bones. I scrambled back, hit the bed, and felt the floor give soft, sinking like I was falling through. It's got me now, and I don't know where I am. The stairs are back. I landed on them, not my bed, not my room, just steps, cold and slick, stretching down into black. The fall didn't hurt, no bruises, no pain, just a drop into this endless spiral with turning to stone under my feet. The hum's deafening, rattling my skull, and the slap 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 is all around, echoing off walls I can't see. I tried climbing up, hands scraping rock, but the steps loop 10, 20, 50, and I'm back where I started, the same wet landing, the same green glow ahead. It's the chamber again, or something like it, and it's waiting. I stumbled toward the light, no choice, legs shaking. The pool's there, black water, pulsing, the glow bleeding from its depths. The shapes line the walls, taller now, sharper, not carved, moving, stepping out, stone cracking as they flex. They're not blank anymore, faces, hollow, mouths stretched wide, leaking that metallic air. The footsteps come from them, slapping stone, circling me, and the voice isn't one voice, it's theirs, layered, gurgling, stay, stay, stay. I ran for the stairs, tripped, and they grabbed me, not hard, not fast, just firm, cold hands on my arms, my legs, pulling me back. I fought, kicked, clawed, nothing gave. They dragged me to the pool, slow, deliberate, their grip like wet rope, tightening when I thrashed. The water rippled as we got close, parting, and I saw it, something under there, long and coiled, eyes flat and white, watching. The voice came from it, clear now, you left. Not angry, not sad, just fact, cold and final. They pushed me closer, feet slipping on moss, and the water reached tendrils, black and slick, wrapping my ankles, pulling. I screamed, swung fists, hit stone, hit flesh, I don't know, it didn't stop. I went under. It's not water. It's thick, warm, clinging like oil, filling my lungs without drowning me. I can't see, can't breathe right, but I'm alive, sinking slow, the hum pulsing through it. The tendrils hold me, gentle now, cradling, and the shapes are here too, faint outlines in the black, circling, whispering my name. I feel the house above me, or what's left of it, the stairs, the landing, the bedroom fading, like a dream I'm waking from. This is home now, they say, over and over, stay, 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 until it's not words, just sound, wrapping me tight. I don't know how long I've been here. Time's gone, minutes, hours, days, just the dark, the hum, the grip. I stopped fighting, it's easier this way. The tendrils move me, slow circles through the pool, and the shapes sing, low and wet, a lullaby I can't shake. I see flashes sometimes, my room, the stairs, Sam's truck pulling up outside, but they're far, blurry, like looking through warped glass. The voice talks more, full sentences now, you shouldn't have gone down, we waited, this is where you belong. It's not mad. It's pleased. I'm writing this in my head, no pen, no paper, just thoughts I can't lose. The pull's shifting, rising, and I feel stone again, steps under me, climbing. The tendrils guide me up and up, the hum softening, the shapes following. Light breaks through, not green, not my house, something gray, flat, endless. I surface, not in the chamber, not in my foyer, but somewhere else, stairs still, but wide, cracked, stretching into fog. The shapes let go, stand back, and the voice says, look, soft, final. I do. It's me. Not a reflection, not a trick, me, standing on the stairs ahead, pale, wet, eyes white like theirs. It turns, smiles, and the shapes bow, stone grinding. The tendrils push me forward, toward it, and I feel myself split, not pain, just a pull, like thread unraveling. I'm in both places now, walking, watching, knowing this is where the stairs lead, where they always led. The house was a door, the stairs a path, and I'm not lost, I'm found. Sam's here, I think, I hear him, faint, calling my name through the fog. He's too late. The stairs twist, the fog thickens, and I'm climbing again, both of me, with the shapes, with the voice, stay, humming in my chest. The pull's below, the house above, but they're nothing now, just stops on the way. I don't fight it anymore. I don't want to. The stairs go on, wrong and right, and I'm home, wherever this is, forever. I'd write more, but there's no need. The fog's clearing, the stairs are endless, and I see it, all of it, every step, every turn, leading here. Sam's voice fades, the house collapses somewhere far off, and the shapes close in, welcoming. The voice says my name, one last time, and I answer, not out loud, not with words, just me, all of me, staying. The stairs don't end. They don't have to. I'm where they wanted me, and they're not wrong anymore.